Hello my friend, welcome back to Pro Mix Method, and the mixing starts here on the mix bus. Today I'm going to walk you through EQ, compression and adding tape to your mix bus. In just 2 EQ moves we're going to unpack how we can reduce some of that unpleasant muddiness and add some presence and air and clarity to our mix. With the compression, we're going to learn how to use the compressor correctly on our mix bus so that we're not squashing our mix, but that we're adding some gluey punch. And finally, we're going to be looking at why I love using tape on the mix bus, and you will too. Let's hop inside the DAW. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is EQ on our mix bus. I want to let you know about a frequency guide or a mix bus EQ cheat sheet guide that you'll find below this video, and it's going to take you around all the frequencies and give you some ballpark guides as to what you can expect from boosts and attenuation around those frequencies. So you should find that really helpful as you find your way and familiarize yourself with EQing on the mix bus. The one big tip I would offer is really very much like mastering. Remember that we are dealing with the whole mix here, so we don't want to be doing big changes here. We don't want to be really looking beyond about 1.5 2 dB when we're making our EQ moves. Subtlety is absolutely king when we're looking at doing moves on the mix bus. So we're going to start off by looking at these 2 EQ moves. Yes, every mix is different. Of course, it's crucial to use your ears, but I do find more often than not these 2 moves do work out really well on the mix bus. So I'm doing a cut and I'm doing a boost. Now I'm down here at 400 Hertz, which is around the area where you're going to find and encounter muddiness. A lot of instruments have this frequency in them, whether it's the voice, whether it's a snare drum, whether it's of course bass, guitar, piano, synths. That's why you'll find this frequency really will build up and become very muddy in your mix. Now you have to be a bit careful around the lower mids, because if you cut too much you can kind of take that fullness and warmth away from your mix. But of course we're just on the mix bus here, we're just going to make a little move. So I have taken a 1 dB cut here at 400 Hertz, and the other move that I've done is a little boost at 7K. So I'm doing a high shelf boost, which will kind of look like that, rather than a bell boost, which would kind of look like that. And around this frequency area is where the upper mids meld in with the high end. So boosting the upper mids, you can expect to get some more presence and clarity from your mix. And the high end, as you boost that shelf, is going to give you a little bit of air and sort of open the mix out too. So let's just take a listen to what our mix sounds like with our EQ moves on and off. Let's start with them off. If I get a chance, I'm gonna give you a slip. I'm gonna take myself a whole chill. Have a chance and I'll try. Although I'll never be like Elvis, I won't ever wear the company tie. Now it's kind of subtle, you probably want to be listening to that with your headphones, but what you can expect and what you want to listen out for is just a little bit of a cleaning up of those low mids, so you just feel the mix just thinning out ever so slightly around the area, and also lifting a little bit and getting more clarity, getting those vocals more to the front of the mix, and it just feeling like the lid's being lifted off the mix. And I just want to show you what that looks like on a stock EQ too, so you can get a real feel for it. So here we've got our small little cut here with our cut bell curve at 400 Hertz, and here we've got our high shelf starting around 7K. Once again, this is what that sounds like. Let's start with it on, and then I'm going to switch it off. If I get a chance, I'm gonna give you a slip. I'm gonna take myself a whole sit chill in it. Just give me half a chance and I'll try. Although I'll never be like Elvis, I won't ever wear the company tie. Next up, let's take a look at compression. I love compression on a mix bus. It just seems to glue everything together, gives us a little bit more punch. But of course, if we use compression in the wrong way, we could easily really squash the life out of our mix. We absolutely don't want to do that. So there's some key things that we need to think about. This is a great free plugin, by the way, from Analog Obsession. So first up, let's think about attack and release. When it comes to attack, we don't want to be coming in too fast because we're going to squash the life out of our mix. If you think about those instruments with some big transients, our kicks and our snares, if we're coming in too quick, we're just going to kill the crack out of those instruments. We don't want to do that, so we're using a subtle time. I've got my compressor set at 10 milliseconds here, and for the release, I want it to release really fast for the same reason. I don't want my release to be slow, otherwise my compressor is going to dig in and then it's just going to be really slow releasing. So by the time it gets to the next transient, the compressor is still not going to be released and it's going to compress that transient. So I want my compressor to get in and do the work fast. Once again, we're thinking about subtlety being the key because we're working with the mix bus. So I'm using a low ratio. Mine's at 1.5, so the lowest ratio I can do on this compressor, 1.5 or 2. And then we're simply going to dial our threshold in till we're seeing around 2 dB of gain reduction. And again, we're thinking subtlety. Certainly I wouldn't go any further than say 4 dB of gain reduction. So let's dial some of this in and take a listen.
If I get a chance, I'm gonna give it a slip. I'm gonna give myself a hold, see the shiver in it. Just give me half a chance and I'll try. And if I get a chance, I'm gonna give it a slip. I'm gonna give myself a hold, see the shiver in it. Just give me half
So we can see our needle moving to around 2 dB of gain reduction. So now what we need to do is bring up a bit of make up gain to make up for that gain reduction. So I'm going to bring it into around 1.5 dB. Let's take a listen with our compressor off.
If I get a chance, I'm gonna give it a slip. I'm gonna give myself a hold, see the shiver in it. Just give me half a chance and I'll try. And if I get a chance, I'm gonna give it a slip. I'm gonna give myself a hold, see the shiver in it. Just give me half a chance and I'll try. Although I never be like Elvis, I won't ever wear the company tightly blue.
So we can really hear that compressor, I think, adding some nice gluey compression to our mix and a bit of extra punch. And whilst we're talking about gluiness and bringing the mix together, my absolute favourite plugin probably of all to put on anything is just adding some tape to the mix bus, because it does exactly that. It helps to glue everything together. It gives a little bit of subtle compression too, and a little bit of subtle saturation and distortion. Let's just call it tapey goodness. It's just one of those great satisfying things to add on a mix bus. That's why you'll always find a tape plugin on my mix bus, and I love using tape throughout individual tracks as well. So there's 3 big key moves that I like to do on the mix bus. The thing to do now is to listen to the before and after without those 3 plugins on our mix bus. So let's start things off with them off, and I'll bring them on and off a couple of times so you can take a listen.
If I get a chance, I'm gonna give it a slip. I'm gonna give myself a hold, see the shiver in it. Just give me half a chance and I'll try. And if I get a chance, I'm gonna give it a slip. I'm gonna give myself a hold, see the shiver in it. Just give me half a chance and I'll try. Although I never be like Elvis, I won't ever wear the company tightly blue. Only you can choose.
So there's 3 big mix bus moves that you can do to get your mix sounding great before you've even put one single plugin on any of your tracks. Go grab yourself a well-earned cup of tea, and I'll see you in the next video.